Do you have about 15 Bitcoin? If so, you are a millionaire right now. It's clear that Bitcoin is becoming more valuable. Fiat is losing the ability to buy things. So how much Bitcoin do you think the normal person needs to get to the point where they will be a millionaire? Okay, I'm sure I can think of one. Do you think my answer is 1 Bitcoin? You might not be able to get to the 1 Bitcoin right away though, right? But I do think you should definitely be aiming for that whole coiner rank. A lot of people ask me, where do you think Bitcoin is going? I told you it would go to 1 million, then 10 million, right? That's kind of how I feel. $1 million isn't worth as much as it used to be though, right? But I really think that in 10 years, 1 Bitcoin will be worth $1 million, right? I think a lot of people who use Bitcoin think that. The question now is how to get 1 Bitcoin. Okay, I think the first thing you should do is follow rule number 1, never sell your Bitcoin. Because of this, you need to think, okay, I made some money here, I did something, I did this job, I got some money. Take some money, put some money on the side, and put it in Bitcoin. Oh, I used Airbnb to rent out my house and the extra room. I'm making a little money there. I'm putting together numbers. Take it out and put it in Bitcoin. Okay, you should think of this as your savings account for the next one. You should try to save as much Bitcoin as you can for 3 to 5 years. That's how I see it. Okay. You should try to save everything you have. Okay, what does that mean? Do not buy a house. That's the first thing I would say. Okay, don't buy a house and don't give in to the urge to buy one. Do not say, oh, I'm going to buy a house and Airbnb it out. Do not give in to that urge. What do you think? No matter what your idea is. Let's get rid of that idea. We're going to put it down and wait 5 years. The thing you should do now is get some Bitcoin. That's what I believe. Also, I believe that the next 5 years will be the best time to save for Bedpoint. That means you have a real chance in the next 5 years, no matter what age you are, but especially if you're young, right? You should not give in to the desire to spend your money at all costs, I would say. Also, I wouldn't try to take really crazy risks. For example, I read about a guy who bought a honeymoon with all of his wedding money and planned to use it to buy meme coins. He didn't have enough. Don't do that. Do you get what I mean? Put your money to bed. Get enough. Pay attention to how much Bitcoin you have instead of how much that thing is worth in dollars. I would tell you to try to get to 1 Bitcoin. What do you think if you have 1 Bitcoin? It's a club. Isn't that a club? There are about 1 million people in that club, right? You should try to get into that club, right? That's what I'd say. That being said, make sure you keep your Bitcoin safely by doing things like cold storage and even multi-sig, just so you know how big that is. And finally, I think you should do a little bit of business with Bitcoin every once in a while just to make sure you really understand how it works, right? So maybe all you do is use Bitcoin to buy a coffee or find a place in your town that takes it. Don't go crazy, just use your Bitcoin a little bit, right? Use the Lightning wallet, do something, just use it a little bit. To help you remember how to use it. Do not put it away and forget about it. It's like having to learn how to drive. Every time you turn around, you have to keep driving. Make sure you understand it before you take out your cash. That's what I would say. That's what I would tell you. But I think the good news is that things are going really well for you. Okay, everyone feels like they missed the house boom. It doesn't matter what you do. You're in a better mood, Mark. That's a lot better than houses, right? For people my age, housing was like nothing like, so what, in a neighborhood, your houses are pricey. So what? Don't buy a house, That's the answer to that question. Okay, don't be upset about it. Don't be a baby about it. Do not buy a house. If moving is really too expensive, you could move somewhere cheaper and buy Bitcoin. That's what I want to say. That being said, I'm pretty excited, yes? If you believe what you're saying, 1 Bitcoin will almost certainly make you a millionaire in the future. Sure, I believe you will reach your goal. There are probably only 1 million people there. Take a look at all the millionaires. Okay, there must be 100 million millionaires out there, right? But how many people can have a Bitcoin? As it stands, there can only be 21 million people who own 1 Bitcoin. If they're in Bitcoin, it's even less, or even a little less. Yes, say that there is. Of those people, some of them don't sell like Michael Saylor, right? He doesn't sell anything. So it's likely that less than 10 million people can own 1 bit. At any time. I think it will be less than 5. They're likely to be the large group. It might not even get to 3 million. The world has 8 billion people. Do you want to be one of the top 3 million? Yes, I would say that you do. Okay, without a doubt, you do. Okay, the numbers are great. Okay, let's see if you can reach 1 million. There are only 5 million people in the world. That's not really that big. I don't know how big Columbus, Ohio is, but you get the idea. We're not talking about 3 million people in New York City, you understand? The place we're talking about is Atlanta. Okay, that's how big your club is around the world. Do you know? I still think you're in great shape, but I think it will get harder and harder. People will ask you how the hell you got a Bitcoin 10 years from now. How did you do it? I began buying Bitcoin when it was worth only 70,000. Okay, how did you know what to buy when Bitcoin was worth 70,000? I listen to altcoin and Fred every day, so that's what I would say. Like, it's definitely based on age. Now is a great time to get Bitcoin. I think of it as a gift for all of us. That's the reason I do this. Part of me just wants to share my love of Bitcoin with everyone else, and I tell them, hey, now is probably a great time to get involved, that's it. What do I get from it? Yes, I do. You guys will help Bitcoin go up as a whole, but I can't really do anything to make it go up. That big that it's already worth $1 trillion. I'm not able to make it for us. It's going to change anything, but I really believe it's a good investment for most people. What about you? You can also go speculating on other things if you feel like you've had enough. Oh, I see. That's why I have a long dress that doesn't look like something from the Spanish Inquisition.